In a small village nestled in the rolling hills of the countryside, there lived an old man named Harry. Harry was a quiet and unassuming individual who kept to himself, preferring the company of his books and his violin to people. Every day, Harry would sit on a bench outside his small cottage, playing his violin for hours on end. The villagers would often pass by, hearing the beautiful music, but they would rarely stop to listen. They would glance at Harry, see his worn and tattered clothes, and assume that he was just a poor old man with nothing better to do. One day, a group of travelers passed through the village. Among them was a young musician named Sarah, who was on a quest to find the most talented musicians in the land. As she walked through the village, she heard the sound of Harry's violin and was immediately drawn to it. Sarah sat down next to Harry on the bench, mesmerized by the beauty of his music. As she listened, she noticed that Harry's violin was old and worn, but his fingers moved with a precision and skill that she had rarely seen. When Harry finished playing, Sarah turned to him and asked, "Sir, you are an incredibly talented musician. Why do you play on the streets instead of in a grand concert hall?" Harry looked at Sarah with a twinkle in his eye and said, "My dear, I have played in concert halls all over the world. I have performed for kings and queens, and I have been hailed as a master of my craft. But I have found that the most beautiful music is not played for the applause of the crowd, but for the joy of the soul." Sarah was taken aback by Harry's words. She had assumed that he was just a poor old man, but in reality, he was a wise and talented musician who had chosen a simple life. As Sarah prepared to leave, Harry handed her his violin. "Play something for me," he said. Sarah was hesitant at first, but as she began to play, she felt a sense of freedom and joy that she had never experienced before. When she finished, Harry smiled and said, "You have a gift, my dear. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise." Sarah thanked Harry and continued on her journey, but she never forgot the lesson she learned from the old man and his violin.